know that you think you're the coolest one in town, but to me you'll be much cooler when you're 6 feet underground. Some of us are crazy, some are smart and brave. Well, it doesn't really matter, we all end up in the grave. All my favorite people are dead. All my favorite people are dead. I'm saying all my favorite people are dead. 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 Hello, breathers. Oh, that's Shannon Butler growling. And I'm Sue Teresi, and I'll tell you why she's growling.
It's been a fucking day.
Yeah, Shannon and I are, first of all, we want to apologize. We got caught up in our actual paid jobs and our paid positions, so we haven't podcasted in a little bit. So we hope you're still there listening and waiting with bated breath for our next episode.
All
which
5
is,
of you.
Yes, that's right. 5 people and my husband.
And your husband.
And the cat. So today, Shannon and I finally got together and we're discussing the world at large.
Fucking world.
Because I decided that today's topic of the podcast will be something that I've been putting off for months, that I couldn't find the appropriate time to discuss this. And this week is either the most appropriate time or the least appropriate time. You'll have to decide. So Shannon and I have been going back and forth about world peace and God and other, topics. And we're discussing here a world with peace, where we all hold hands and sing Kumbaya.
Which is not fucking possible.
Because Shannon's argument is that as a historian, she has seen history, and unfortunately, based on previous episodes, history repeats itself.
Constantly. And as long as there are human beings being human beings, we will always fucking have wars and shootings and shit. And it's not going to end. It's not. Because that's just, history does, ever since the very fucking beginning. It's in the Bible, it's all the way through, it's everywhere. People suck.
And my argument is that haters are going to hate. You're always going to have assholes and bullies.
So
I agree with
my argument.
that. No.
You just proved it.
But,
you're always going to have it.
But I think that although there are these pieces of garbage that create war and shootings and what have you, there are more people like Shannon and myself in the world, and that we will lead by example, but love will light the way and prevail. And I know I'm sounding very corny right now, but I actually believe that I think there's more goodness and more light in this world than there are bullies and pieces of crap.
The only way we're going to have peace is when someone drops a bomb on the whole place.
God forbid. No. Well, then there won't be anybody to have peace. There will be no peace.
That's where we're heading.
There will be no life.
That's what's going on.
No.
I
don't see that. I like to think, I don't know if anybody's old enough to remember that Coca-Cola commercial. They had all these kids. I'd like to teach the world to sing. You don't know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about.
And everybody was holding hands and drinking a Coke, and it was lovely, and we all, held hands and sing Kumbaya.
But it's not possible because you're going to have those assholes who come in and go, no, I'm going to drink Pepsi. I'm not going to have a fucking Coke.
and start shooting the Coke drinker.
Because that's the world we live in right now.
But I think those people will be outnumbered and be stamped out and be forced to take their Pepsi and go drink it somewhere else and be left alone.
My generation, so I know a lot of people my age, and I'm one of them, who at this point were so fucking numb.
That I get.
Because we've just been exposed to it nonstop. And yes, okay, my generation's a little more sensitive than previous generations. Yeah, we are. So...
But however...
I've seen it nonstop since I was a kid in middle school when Columbine was happening. And then when I was in high school and I watched the Twin Towers come down on television in my art class. And I'm like, and it's just non-fucking stop. And I'm like...
I agree.
It's just getting worse. And I'm like...
Your generation is... Okay, I wasn't what you would call a bully. I never went to school and bullied the other girls in school. However, if I had a fight with a girl, it never occurred to me that the next day she would come to class with a list and a gun. I didn't grow up with that. I grew up in the shadows of Vietnam. It was different. Right. Your generation is growing up with school shootings and mass shootings as a weekly event.
Yeah.
That must be terrifying.
And a government that clearly doesn't give
That's
a
right.
fuck.
Well, yeah, they have their own agenda where,
Doesn't give a
guns
fuck.
don't kill people, apparently. And I understand that. And now there's there's the war in the Ukraine and the war in Israel. And it's a very overwhelming time.
Yeah.
However, I still see the good, and I still see diseases being stamped out and cures and people standing in solidarity against this nonsense.
I don't want to stand anywhere anymore. I just want to fucking end it.
Don't make me slap you.
That's where I'm at.
No, do not make me reach over this table and bitch slap you. Stop it. So, Shannon is in a very dark place right now, and that's okay. And I get it that things are overwhelming.
Yeah.
Which is again another reason why I decided that it's about time to stick with this topic. So, before we get with this topic, let's do a modern obit.
All right. So, oh shit. Time for a modern day obit.
Go.
All right. So, for today's modern day obit, we have Matthew Perry,
Sad.
who died just the other day,
Young.
October 28th, 2023. As a result of drowning in his hot tub. Again, a rich person problem I will not have.
Well, there was like a horror movie, and they said something like he drowned in a bowl of chicken soup or something. I don't mean to make fun of somebody's death, but I guess, it just doesn't make sense that you drown in your hot tub.
That's, yeah.
Unless he was on drugs. Yeah.
Well,
or he fell
so
asleep.
the LAPD says that the medical examiner will have to take a closer look into this.
Okay.
Testing has to be done to determine, what
He
exactly.
didn't boil, he drowned.
He drowned.
Okay.
Yeah. I guess it wasn't that hot.
Yeah.
Ew. Now I've got,
Soup.
Thanks.
It's like soup.
Thanks.
Yeah, sorry.
Perry soup. What the fuck?
Oh, sorry.
All right. So anyway, he was born Matthew Langford Perry in Williamstown, Massachusetts,
Okay.
on August 19th, 1969. And his mom was a Canadian journalist. His father was a model and an actor. But his parents separated when he was like 1 year old. So his mom, he had lived with his mom in Canada, and his mom married Keith Morrison, which if you're a true crime buff, you know who that is.
I'm thinking Jim Morrison's Canadian cousin. No,
Keith
I have
Morrison,
no clue.
Hosts, oh my god, Dateline or 2020? One of those murder shows, I can't remember.
Okay.
Anyway, he's really well known, and you'd know
Apparently to everybody but me, but
you'd know when you hear his voice. His voice is very
okay.
distinctive. Yeah.
I'll look him up. Okay.
Anyway, so Perry was growing up in Canada, and he started raising hell at the age of 10.
10?
Yeah. He was
What, he was eating crayons? How does a 10-year-old raise hell?
Interestingly enough, he beat up future Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau.
Oh my
when
gosh.
he was like 10, yeah.
Wow. Alrighty then.
He also stole shit, smoked, skipped school. Yeah. Real
Tough
wicked.
kid.
Yeah.
Why? Why so brutal, Matt?
Were we having this conversation before? There'll
Gee,
always be
Matt,
bullies.
what happened?
Right. Yeah. Anyway, he started drinking by the age of 14, so not good.
Badass 10-year-old drinking at 14?
Yeah.
That's sad.
I read about the same time he's drinking and doing all this shit, he's also starting to play tennis pretty seriously. Like 10 hours a day, he's practicing tennis.
Okay.
And he was actually considered like a championship level tennis player in Canada. But then when he moved to LA to live with his father, then he realized there was a lot more competition and he wasn't nearly as good. So when he was 15 years old, he started acting. He was learning at the Buckley School in Los Angeles, and he graduated in 1987. And apparently he was very good at comedy. He began getting acting gigs pretty early on, making appearances in shows like Charles in Charge, Silver Spoons, and Beverly Hills 90210.
Okay.
But of course, all of this stuff is pretty minor until 1994, when at the age of 24, he landed his big role as Chandler Bing in the hit series Friends.
I remember Friends. That was a good show.
Now, I'm going to be totally honest, I never watched Friends.
Never?
No.
It's not a bad show.
Never watched. I mean,
okay.
I know, I get the cultural references,
Right.
smelly cat,
Smelly cat, yeah.
all that. But I never actually...
No, watch an episode. It's not bad.
No, I know.
It's a bunch of guys living down the hall from a bunch of girls.
Yeah.
It's cute.
Get it. But anyway, this launched him into fame, which then got him into a lot of movie gigs, mostly, drom-coms and comedies. I remember him, honestly, my favorite Matthew Perry role was in the movie Almost Heroes with Chris Farley.
How'd I miss that?
Oh, that's such a great fucking film. You have to watch Almost Heroes. You will laugh your ass off.
Okay.
They're actually kind of they play this duo, Chris Farley and Matthew Perry. They're trying to beat Lewis and Clark across the country. Yeah, but they just, I mean, they've even got like a Native American woman, and they've got this whole team that kind of mirrors the Lewis and Clark expedition, but it's a shit show because it's Chris Farley.
Yeah, well, him I used to love, yeah.
So, I mean, it was actually Chris Farley's last role before he died.
Oh,
yeah. Great fucking film.
How'd I miss it? I gotta get out.
Watch
Okay.
Almost Heroes.
Okay.
Fabulous film. I also like another
not
film.
work as much, I guess, and watch more
Yeah,
movies.
watch more movies. Because the world's gonna fucking end, like I said. So go out and just watch movies.
So before it ends, I better watch a Foley film.
Yes.
Okay.
Watch Almost
Foley
Heroes.
film. Okay.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Another good film was A Whole Nine Yards.
That I saw.
That's
he
a good
was in
one.
that?
Yeah, with Bruce Willis. He plays
Can't
the like crazy dentist who's like losing his fucking shit over. Yeah.
Can't remember.
Great film. Oh, it's a great film. Anyway, he never married, but he had several celebrity girlfriends, including Julia Roberts and Lizzie Kaplan. He was briefly engaged to a literary manager named Holly Horowitz back in 2020, but that ended. Now, he was very open with his struggles with addiction.
Okay.
Right? He began using Vicodin after having a jet ski accident in 1997. He was really in bad shape. At one point, he weighed only 128 pounds.
Oh, gee.
He took 55 Vicodin pills per day. He had several stints in rehab, including one in Switzerland. But while he was in Switzerland, he faked being in pain to get more drugs.
Oh, jeez.
Then he paid $175,000 to take a private jet to L.A. to get more drugs. When doctors there wouldn't give him any, he paid another $175,000 to take the jet back to Switzerland. In 2022, he estimated that he had spent $9 million on his addiction, including 14 stomach surgeries, 15 stays in rehab, and therapy twice a week for 30 years.
Oh, my God.
He believed that he had attended approximately 6,000 Alcoholics Anonymous meetings.
And nothing worked with this poor guy?
I mean, just...
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh, poor guy.
However, when he was clean, he was more than happy to help others, get them help, get the help they needed for their addiction. And he donated a lot of money and time to charities for drug addiction. He said once in an interview that when he died, he didn't want to be remembered for friends. He wanted to be remembered as the guy who was happy to drive you to an AA meeting if you needed.
Aww.
This sudden death has definitely upset the entertainment industry, and because the guy clearly suffered for a long time. He said that he couldn't rewatch episodes of Friends because he could tell you by looking, I'm high on Vicodin there. Alcohol in this one. Because he was just fucked up the entire time.
That's terrible.
And it seems like he was doing good. Like, just hours before his death, he was playing pickleball. I mean, just like he was working out with his coach, playing pickleball.
Playing pickleball, just comes home, gets in the tub, and maybe fell asleep.
He was actually working on several projects and things and some scripts.
That's a tragedy, such a young man.
So, it came as a bit of a shock. Yeah, So that's...
Terrible.
A sad, very sad death of Matthew Perry.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear it.
And if you haven't, go see Almost Heroes, guys.
Almost Heroes, okay.
If you want to have a Matthew Perry reminiscent moment,
okay,
it's a good film.
Good advice.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
So
on a not so light note.
So here we go. Strap in, buckle up, put on your helmets and your airbag, because this is going to be a bumpy ride. In May is Yom HaShoah, which is the Holocaust Memorial Day, right?
Yes.
And I had taken several workshops on women, and I said, I kept putting this on the back burner. And it's very difficult subject matter. It's very difficult to read about. It's almost easier to, when we do things about people who died during sex than it is to do this. But the time has come in lieu of everything going on in the world.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be talking specifically today about women of the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising. Mm-hmm. This is seen through women's eyes. Okay, what was the role of women in the Warsaw Uprising? Right? Everybody, well, maybe you don't know. There was, in the ghetto, there was an uprising.
Right.
Okay? The women spent their entire life based on sacrifice. Mm-hmm. They maintained an almost gender-neutral role. You had to forget you were a woman for a while. The Jewish women had what was called hegemony, which is social leadership over the men, because it is a structural factor in the shaping of a new economic and moral reality, meaning a woman has to adjust her experience to the new commands of life with subtle and surprising intuition, more than men can do. Mm-hmm. Okay?
Because women are just smarter.
Well, more intuitive.
Yes.
More intuitive. Their will for life not only doesn't wane in the face of adversity, but it exploded with a defensive reaction. Mm-hmm. Okay? They kept fighting because their will for life prevailed. Okay. Jewish military resistance was a continuation of the young Jewish people's movement and involvement in youth movements prior to the war. So there were youth movements, and this came out of the shadows of that.
Okay.
Youth resistance was a spectrum of cultural, educational, social, and military action. They faced all the adversity standing in the way of their survival with courage. Okay, and this was all from a JWA video that I was watching during Yom HaShoah. I got most of this information talking about focusing on the women and the uprising and what was going on. Okay? The role of women, in particular, in the Polish resistance movement and in the Warsaw Uprising itself was crucial. It was a collective movement, no one leader.
Okay.
Women were able to get in and out of the ghetto more easily than men because you can't physically prove a woman is Jewish like you can with a man. Think about that for a moment.
Yeah, okay.
Okay?
Yep.
Let's think about that for a moment. So she can disguise herself in and out more than a man can.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Women held a variety of important positions, ranging from traditional female roles like cleaning and making beds and cooking and delivering food, to serving as couriers and liaison officers, even prostitution if necessary.
Gotta do what you gotta do, girls.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Of the approximately 750 young Jews who participated in the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, nearly 200 of them were women.
Okay.
They often worked as couriers. What do you got in the box? Well, I'm smuggling explosives, ammo, weapons into the ghetto.
Okay.
They had a very important role to play in the uprising. The Warsaw Uprising was the single largest military effort undertaken by resistance forces to oppose German occupation during World War II.
Okay.
In the end, German troops destroyed the majority of Warsaw during and immediately after the uprising. Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is what the women were doing. Okay, women could get in and out easier. They could disguise themselves. Let's talk about who some of the women were.
Okay.
Now, if anybody knows the way I botch English, you can imagine the way that I'm about to botch Polish. I'm going to apologize in advance.
Okay.
Okay. I think it's pronounced Nuita Tejtilbaum. Okay. She was nicknamed Little Wanda with the braids. She was a Jewish resistance fighter in Warsaw during World War II.
Okay.
Picture this little papa, kind of like the costume I wore during Halloween, with these little braids, and she looks like the Swiss Miss, the girl on the box. Okay, this is her. During the war, she acted as a courier for the Jewish Combat Organization and the Communist, I'm going to mess this up, GWARDIA, Guardia Ludowa, I beg your indulgence. She also smuggled weapons and people. As a resistance fighter, she was known to braid her hair, dress up as a cute little Polish peasant girl, and enter the homes of officers in disguise to kill Nazis.
She killed people?
Yep.
Good girl.
Yep. Probably kept like a gun in her braids. Yeah, she would enter the homes of officers of Nazis, dressed in a little, hi, yeah, bang. Okay? Good for her. In 1943, Teitelbaum shot 5 Nazi soldiers in one day. Whew. During the war, she was wanted by the Gestapo, who placed a bounty of 150,000 zlotys, is that how you pronounce it?
Sounds about right.
Yeah, okay, on her head. She is reputed to have placed a bomb in Warsaw's cinema, which she knew was frequented by Nazi soldiers. Oh. In 1943, Nuita was a... So despite her innocent and youthful appearance,
she was a badass.
Deadly assassin. Yeah.
Goodness.
Yeah. She was born in 1917. She was raised in a religious Jewish
Sounds like a character out of Kill Bill.
It does though.
Yeah.
I mean, because truth is stranger than fiction. It's this cute little, and she's an assassin. Who knew? Who would have thought?
That sounds like a badass Halloween costume.
Seriously. In 1939, she was one of the first volunteers to join the underground resistance movement. Because her resistance activities were so secretive, information is still incomplete on it now. Okay. For 3 years, she evaded German pursuers and continued her resistance activities until she was captured in 1943 and imprisoned with thousands of other Polish Jews in the Warsaw Ghetto, where she now is participating in the famous uprising in April of 1943.
Okay.
For most of the ghetto fighters, it looked like a suicide mission. They knew they were likely to die, but they wanted to go down fighting.
Sure.
Nuita was one of the few who did survive the ghetto battles and managed to escape. But in July of 43, her hiding place in Warsaw was discovered and she was arrested by the Gestapo.
Oh.
She was beaten, she was tortured for several weeks. She never gave any information about other resistance fighters or activities, and she was eventually executed at the age of 25.
Oh, ouch.
Okay, another woman, Rachel Zleiberberg. January 5th, 1920. She passed in 43. She was an underground activist and a participant in the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising. Mm-hmm. She held a key role in rousing the rebellion. She re-entered the Warsaw Ghetto with two objectives. The first was to bear the message as an eyewitness of the methodical extermination of the Jews near Vilna. Her fellow Jews didn't even know what was going on until then. Right. So she was a rebel rouser, like, hey. The second was to arouse and motivate rebellion against the Nazis from inside the ghetto. On her return to the ghetto, she and a group united around her, some of whom she instructed as counselors. She detailed the Nazi massacre as the idea of an uprising occurred because she and the other resistance fighters were so not going to go to lambs like to the slaughter like lambs. Mm-hmm. Not having it. Mm-hmm. And she died under a bunker under Mila 18, where her name is engraved. Huh. So now we have Fruma Platnica. She was born in a village near Pinsk during World War I, part of the newly reborn Poland in 1919. She relocated to Warsaw in 1938 to assume a position at the headquarters of the Dror Zionist Youth Movement, founded on Polish lands in 1915 in the course of the war with Imperial Russia. But following the 1939 invasion of Poland by the Nazis and the Soviet Union, Platnica undertook underground activities as a leader of the Haluts movement, youth movement. She used false identities, facial disguise. She traveled between general government territories and between Jewish ghettos in German-occupied Poland. She witnessed the Holocaust trains departing from train camps to undisclosed death camps during the extermination, known as the Final Solution, right?
Right.
She served as a courier. She delivered light weapons and proceeded to pass them to the Warsaw Ghetto underground, as well as blueprints drafted by the headquarters for the manufacture of Molotov cocktails and hand grenades.
Fun.
How'd she get her hands on those blueprints? But she did. Among the Jewish community she visited, she was referred to as the mama, like mom, because she would relay the reports of murderous litigations to so many ghettos that she herself began to call herself the gravedigger. Can you imagine that? In the ghetto, the Jewish underground cell was formed in 1941. The ghetto was never really surrounded by a wall, even though it was very tightly guarded by the German police. So in 1941, there were like 25,000 Jews. This increased to 27,000 Jews after the expulsion of the Jewish community in a place I can't pronounce, Ozwikim. I wish I had better pronunciation. All right, let's get to this part. In May, deportations to Auschwitz began with the first transportation of 3,200 Jews loaded onto trains. And on the advice of Mordechai Anklewitz, who stayed temporarily in 1942, she, Platnica, and a bunch of brothers basically organized a local chapter of another organization. So in August, after the final deportation, the partisans launched an uprising which lasted for several days, where she was killed in a bunker on that day. And then we have Chana Platnica, it's her sister. She was also a member of this Zionist organization, Hel Haluts. Fighters of the Jewish resistance movement in German-occupied Poland during World War II. She had been caught by the Germans trying to escape from the Warsaw Ghetto and was beaten to death. We have this woman, Rachela Auerbach. She escaped the ghetto in 1943 and worked on the Aryan side, get a load of this, as a Polish secretary, aided by her very non-Jewish appearance and her fluency in German. So she's passing as an Aryan and working there.
Okay.
By night, she continued recording her historical notes of Jews, and at the request of an underground Jewish committee, she wrote a poem called Yiska, which is a lengthy essay, not a poem, an essay, about the summer of 1942, the Warsaw Ghetto deportation. And she wrote another piece recounting the lives of Jewish writers, artists, and cultural activists in Warsaw, both of which was widely circulated underground. She dedicated the rest of her life to collecting witness testimony and writing about people she had known before and after the Holocaust in Poland. She was only one of 3 surviving members of the Onyeg Shabbos group. They were a chief memorist group of the ghetto. Okay?
Whoa, what?
She was one of the members of this group that were recording memories. They were documenting.
Okay.
She was instrumental in preparing witness for the Rich Ann trial, which is one of the few women in the first decades of the Holocaust research. From 45 to 50, she worked at the Jewish Historical Institute in Warsaw, collecting witness testimonies, mainly from survivors of Treblinka. She was a writer, an essayist, a historian, a Holocaust scholar, and a Holocaust survivor.
So she made it out of Warsaw.
She made it out.
Yeah. Because of her Aryan looks.
Yeah, she was able to get in and out and pick up information and document everything.
Okay.
She wrote prolifically in both Polish and Yiddish, focusing on pre-war Jewish cultural life and post-war Holocaust documentation and witness testimonies. Okay. So she became a big proponent, survivor, documenting things. Because, people have a tendency to say, this didn't happen. Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So Mira...
she lived a good long life then.
She did.
And
she got out and she lived and she documented and spent the rest of her life dedicating to writing and proving histories.
When did she die?
Do I have that here? I do. Wait, let's scroll up. No, I don't have that in here.
Are we sure she's dead?
I'm assuming so.
Yeah, probably.
I'm assuming so. I'd have to fact check that, but I'm assuming so. And if not, you know what? I'd be okay with that too. Okay, Mira, Fuchrer. Fuchrer. My apologies for butchering everyone's name. She was a Polish Jewish activist of the Jewish resistance movement in Warsaw Ghetto during the occupation of Poland in World War II. She was a member of the Jewish Combat Organization and a resistance fighter during the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising in 1943. Surrounded by the Germans in the ghetto bunker, she refused to surrender and committed suicide with other members of the Jewish resistance.
Oh, that doesn't seem like something
Jews do?
Yeah.
Do you know the story of Masada?
No.
Remind me to get back to that after this.
Okay.
Okay, Vladka Mead was a member of the Jewish resistance in Poland who famously smuggled dynamite into the Warsaw Ghetto and helped children escape out of the ghetto. In 1963, she and her husband founded the Warsaw Ghetto Resistance Organization. In 1981, she helped to organize the World Gathering of Jewish Holocaust Survivors in Jerusalem. In 1983, the Mead Foundation and the American Gathering of Jewish Holocaust Survivors. So some of them that made it out continued to go on and still fight. Mm-hmm. Okay? Susanna Kassauer. Now, let's see what I got here. The print is small. Okay. She was a member of the Betov fighting resistance movement during World War II. She was a messenger for the Home Army and the Jewish Military Union. She was on the Aryan side because she again, they can disguise themselves. They're little blonde girls that speak the language and they can easily go in and out.
Yeah.
She took part in the Warsaw Uprising in 1940. She was imprisoned in a ghetto in 1942, a few days before the liquidation of the ghetto by the Germans. Her family managed to escape to Warsaw. And, she did not live inside the Warsaw Ghetto. Instead, she hid in houses. Thanks to her pre-war acquaintance with a commander who was in the 12th Battalion, active in the 4th Region of Area 1 of the District of Warsaw, of the Home Army. She became the Home Army liaison. She was responsible for delivering underground mail on the route between Warsaw, the Warsaw Ghetto, and this other ghetto. So during the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, she remained outside the closed district. She later took part in the uprising. After its downfall, she was found out, sent to a camp in Germany. She returned to Poland in 1946. She took a job, she survived, as at the Cultural Committee of Jews in Poland and Warsaw. But for fear that the communist authorities would discover her past involvement with the Home Army and her collaboration with the Jewish Military Union, she left Israel with her family, and she died in Tel Aviv in 2008.
Okay.
So I want to give honorable mention. Again, I apologize for screwing up the names. CYWIA, Swaya, Lubetkin, Tasia Altman, Guta Kowinoki, Felda Taman, Regina Foodman, Henrika Tazawert. These are, I want to give honorable mention. These and other women, brave, historic women, faced the ravages of war and, like many, gave up their lives.
Yeah.
So now, you don't know the story of Masada. Okay.
No.
Okay, Masada's a mountain in Israel.
Okay.
And long ago and far away, the Jews went up there and all their enemies lived down there, and they were doing good for a while until they ran out of food and they realized their defenses wouldn't hold and the bad guys were coming in to get them. Mm-hmm. And there were a lot of people there, a couple of hundred people. And basically, rather than surrendering, they committed suicide and left no one alive. You know, they drew lots and a couple of the guys killed everybody or whatever, and rather than being faced it. So you can go to Masada. My kids were there. You know, you can go up the mountain and that is there, and you can see where this event happened. I also know that in recent events of what's going on now, I know that there were people now in bomb shelters, and because I've heard, you know, I get my news a lot from Israel, and there was one father in particular who, you know, thought right now they were going to be attacked by Hamas, and he's in the bomb shelter with his children, and his thought is, kill my kids first before they come and they get us, because being taken alive by these people is a fate worse than death. Yeah. So it is not that uncommon when you forced to see your children be tortured and mutilated in front of your eyes. Sometimes you're better off, or you think of doing the unmentionable. So yes. So on that happy subject matter, I just felt it was time. Like I said, I've had this on the back burner for several months, you know, not knowing when it would be an appropriate time. And, you know, maybe right now it is. May their memories and the memories of the righteous be for a blessing. May the hostages come home. And may there be peace on earth, and may it begin with us.
Well, on that cheery note, sorry guys, this was a very gloomy episode.
Sometimes it has to be done.
Yeah.
It has to be said, and we're the ones that are going to say it. You know, keep listening, keep breathing, keep doing what's right, and don't let the bullies and the bad guys win. If you see something, say something. Because I was just telling Shannon, and I'll tell the rest of you, no, your Jewish friends are not okay right now. No, we're not. And check in on us. Also, we're not okay because 90 years ago when this happened, everybody else was silent. Okay, so do the right thing. That's all I'm going to say. Enough said.
Okay.
And that's it for another informative, historic
episode
of All My Favorite People Are Dead. See ya.
Bye.
All my favorite people are dead. All my favorite people are dead. I said all my favorite people are dead. All my favorite people are dead. All my favorite people are dead. All my favorite people are dead.